Hi guys, I'm Avery. I'm a purebred churchgoer, or as us youths like to call it, churchbred. I've been going to this church for longer than I can remember. Actually, I was raised in this church. One day when I was 7, Pastor Marty was talking about how God died for us, and being churchbred, I've always heard these words, but never really understood them. But that day I did, or as well as a 7-year-old could anyways. So after the service, I told my mom, and somehow we got on the topic of baptism, and next thing I knew, I was baptized that Easter, and boom, my life changed. I have been a perfect Christian ever since, and I've never been tempted, ever. Wrong. But I assure you, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. 2 years went by with me thinking exactly that. Then my best friend died. He was my dog, and his name was Bear Bear. I was crushed. So my mom hugged me, and the rest of my family comforted me by saying, well, I mean, everything's going to die sooner or later. So, tough love. But it worked, and after a while, I did get over it. 1 year later, though, my grandpa died, my second best friend. I mean, who was going to play checkers with me and only win by cheating? So this death was a lot harder for me, mostly because to be comforted by my family, they originally had to get over it first. So I had to do it myself. I did get over it. I stopped crying. I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I stopped feeling. Life went on. I remained an unfeeling kid that was baptized. I continued to go to church and youth ministries. I always had the church answers. Everything seemed fine, or at least it did, until I went on a missions trip my freshman year, and my life changed. It wasn't sudden, but it was noticeable. We spent a week or so at Camp Oak Hills. We cleaned during the day, then after supper we'd go to a small cabin and talk there. We did some devos or devotionals, and we did some testimonies. So I was partnered with Tori for the devos, and ours was on the book of Psalms. So we had 1 day to prepare for it, so I did what any sane human would do, and I woke up early that morning and read the first 41 chapters of Psalms. Yeah, so I could stand up here and give you that devo right now, but I have a time limit. So pretty much, as a summary, the first 41 chapters of Psalms is basically David failing, then crying about it, then asking God to forgive him, and then praising God once he does. This is the first 41 chapters of Psalms on repeat the entire time. And so while thinking about that, I was like, wow, that's kind of neat. God's golden boy was actually a failure, and God still loved him. So that was kind of cool. And so later, after doing our Devo, someone was doing their testimony, and I was motivated to do mine. So during theirs, I had started to kind of realize that I'm really bad at sympathizing. Don't get me wrong, I do care about people. It's just really hard for me to wrap my head around empathy. So during my testimony, that's what I shared about, and I cried. Actually, I think bawled is probably the better term. Afterwards, I felt better. I think God broke me, and that's what I needed. So after the trip, I started looking for more opportunities for God to do that to me again. I was looking for a relationship with God that answers couldn't explain. So I heard about Summit Ministries, and Summit Ministries is basically like an extreme Bible camp. For 2 weeks last summer in Colorado, we had 60 hours of strict Bible lectures from like several well-known speakers. And during one of Sean McDowell's lectures on If God, Why Evil, which is a very good topic, but after the talk, we were dismissed to head to small groups. And I tried to get up and get out, and I couldn't. So I tried again, and I couldn't stand up. After everybody had left, I tried once more time, and still to no avail. I was just sitting there. I couldn't do anything. I was helpless. So I started thinking about the talk and started crying again. Actually, I was physically shaking. Someone came over to ask what was wrong with me, and I looked at them and said 5 words, spacing them through tears. I said, "Nothing's wrong. God loves me." And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a relationship with God that cannot be explained through answers. That is what God left for me to find at Summit. After the 2 weeks of Summit, I came home and immediately signed up for the summer Winnipeg missions trip. We went to Winnipeg to help out at Siloam Missions for a few days. Near the end of the trip, we went a little farther north to a First Nations people reservation. We came across a small church that was empty and unlocked. So we went in and we started to pray over the church. And while praying over the church, we started kind of praying over each other. It was amazing. During this, I had taken a knee and started crying once again. And all I could do was say those 5 words whenever anybody asked if something was wrong. I could say, "Nothing's wrong. God loves me." So now we're basically caught up to where I am in my life right now. I don't have it figured out, but I don't think that's the point. I think the point in Christianity is not to figure it out. The point is that no matter what happens, God will always love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.